Hello and welcome to We Poets. My name is Sally Baker and I'm the host of We Poets. We Poets is a poetry show for boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 13. So if you would like to be on the program, please have your parents call me. I'm also looking for dependable interns, and they have to be between the ages of 13 and 19, and they get free training and produce our weekly programs and get a certificate. So tonight we have a very special program. It's called Grandparents' Tales. This is an agency in Oakland that has this contest every year, and the children are selected, and the winners get to come on We Poets and read their stories about their grandparents, and then they also get to be on another program at a bookstore. So tonight we have 3 winners, and I know you're going to enjoy their program. So here we go with our first winner. Hello, young lady.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. Could you look there at the camera and tell us your name and how old you are and what grade you're in, please?
My name is Liliana Pyle, and I am in 3rd grade, and I'm 9 years old.
Good. And who did you write about tonight?
My grandpa.
What's your grandfather's name?
My grandpa's name is Terrence Hughes, but me and my sister call him Zadie.
Good. And your sister and parents came tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, I know they're going to be very proud of you, and I'm very proud of you too. So look right there at camera 3 and let's hear your story.
In 1948, when my grandpa was 10 years old, there were basically only 4 types of movies: cowboy movies, gangster movies, musical movies, and romance movies. My grandpa only liked cowboy movies and gangster movies. In the cowboy movies, they quite often showed cowboys lassoing cows. One day, his mother gave him an old piece of clothesline about 10 to 12 feet long. He practiced lassoing anything he could find, including his little sister. For some reason, his mother forbade that activity. In those days, there were a lot of automobiles with the headlights completely separate from the fender of the car. They looked somewhat like the horns of a cow. He thought it would be a good idea to try and lasso one of the cars as it drove by on the highway in front of his house. He also thought it would be a good idea to tie the rope to his left wrist so that if he lassoed a car, he would not lose the rope. After trying several times to lasso a moving car and failing, he began to think that he might not be able to stop the car if he successfully lassoed it. So he untied the rope from his wrist. The next vehicle to come was a big tractor-trailer rig. On the very first try, he lassoed the protruding hub on one of the wheels. In an instant, the rope was snatched from his hand and wound up on the hub. If he had not untied the rope from his wrist, he would have been seriously injured if not killed. He never told his parents about this incident. It was many years later that he realized how foolish he was and how lucky he was.
Great. Let's clap. Wasn't that a great story? Very nice. Now you have a couple of pictures of grandfather?
Yeah.
You want to show those, please? Hold them up to camera 3. Want me to hold this? Sure. Okay.
This is of when my grandpa was, it was like, I think a month ago, and we were in a restaurant at Oakland.
Good. What kind of food did you have?
It was Japanese food.
Oh, good, good. Now, who's the other young lady beside you there?
That's my sister.
And she came tonight, right?
Yeah.
Maybe she'd like to be on We Poets one of these days, do you think? I'm going to ask her after we do the show. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about you? Oh, you have another picture, too.
Yeah, this is of my grandpa when he was around, I think, 10.
Uh-huh. And what kind of uniform is he wearing there?
A baseball uniform.
Uh-huh. He liked to play baseball, right?
Yeah.
Do you like to play games?
Yes.
What games do you like to play?
Board games.
Board games, good. Anything else you'd like to tell us about you?
I really enjoyed having Stage Ridge because it was an awesome experience for me.
Good.
To get to be able to tell stories and read stories.
Good for you. Okay, we're going to hear from you later on. Thank you so much. Let's give her another round of applause. And now we have another winner, a pretty young lady. She's going to tell us her name and read her story. And I think she has a picture of one of her grandparents that she has written about. So here we go. Hello, young lady. Look there at camera 3 and tell us your name and how old you are and what grade you're in, please.
My name is Dasha Shkolnik. I'm 9 years old and I'm in 3rd grade.
Good. Is this your first time on TV?
Yes.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Oh, you're going to do just fine, and you look so pretty. Did you select this beautiful skirt you're wearing?
Yeah.
Oh, you look very nice. Now, who did you write about?
My grandma.
And what's Grandma's name?
Rita.
Good. And what's the title of it?
treasure chest.
Okay, look right there at camera 3 and let's hear it nice and loud, please. Go ahead.
I have a very special person in my family. It is my grandmother. Her name is Rita. She is 81 years old. This story happened during World War II. My grandmother was young. People lived differently at that time. Books and supplies were hard to get. Once my grandma played with her friends at her backyard. One of her friends asked what was the pile of rocks next to them. My grandmother said that it was already there when they moved in the house. They decided to put all the rocks away. It took them a while, but at the end, they found a treasure chest. Kids opened the chest and saw a big pile of books. The books were old and dirty. There were mostly folk tales and classic literature. The kids were disappointed, but for my grandma, books were a precious treasure. She was so happy. She read them all and then again and again. She told me that books gave her a feeling of miraculous that helped her so much during the hard times of World War II. My grandma still likes to read, and she gave me a love of reading. We often read together in the evenings with a cup of hot tea, and I love to listen to the stories about the old times which my beloved grandma tells me.
Great, let's clap. Wasn't that good? Wow. Very nice. I'm very proud of you. I know you love grandmother, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, did you bring a picture of her?
Yeah, a couple
Okay.
actually.
Okay, let's see. Let's do the large one here first.
Okay.
Now, you're going to hold it up to camera 3 so we can see it.
This is her about like.
Let's hold it over here so we can see your face.
This is
Here. Okay.
her about like 27 years old
Oh,
when she was living in this house, and she was born there.
what city was that in?
I'm not sure,
You're not sure, okay.
but it's in Moscow.
Oh, in Moscow,
Moscow.
okay, okay. Do you have another one to show of grandmother?
Yes.
Okay.
This is her on a cruise.
Oh, what cruise do you think she was on there? Do you know where she was going?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Have you taken a cruise?
Yeah.
Where did you go? Look there at the camera. Tell us, where did you go on your cruise?
Alaska.
Oh, did you have fun?
Yeah.
What was the most exciting thing you liked about being on that ship?
Well, they had a pool.
Oh, so you swam a lot?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hear from you the second half of the program. You did an excellent job. Is this your first time on TV?
Yes.
Great, great. Let's give her another round of applause. And now we have a handsome winner here. He's going to tell us all about himself and read his story. Hello, young man. Look right there at camera 3 and tell us your name and how old you are and what grade you're in, please.
My name is Austin, and I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm 8 years old.
Good. Is this your first time on TV?
Yes,
Are you nervous?
kind of.
Oh, you're going to do just fine. And you look so handsome tonight. You know, red's a very good color to wear on TV. Now, who did you write your story about?
About my grandma and grandpa.
And what's Grandma and Grandpa's name?
My grandpa's name is Maurice, and my grandma's name is April.
Okay, look right there at camera 3 and let's hear it nice and loud, please.
When my grandmother and grandfather were first married, they loved to go hunting together. One day they went to the woods. My grandfather told my grandmother she should wait while he walked around to scare the deer back to her. After some time, he walked a long way and he started on his way back. He was almost back when all of a sudden he heard my grandmother screaming and crying, and then he heard a strange animal making a loud crying sound as well. My grandfather started running as fast as he could, and when he finally got to where he left my grandmother, he was just in time to see a deer running off in the other direction. As it turned out, my grandmother had fallen asleep, and just before he got back, she had awoken to see a deer standing right over her, sniffing her face. Both the deer and my grandmother were so scared they started screaming and crying. My grandfather could not stop laughing after he understood what had happened, and to this day, he thinks it's one of the funniest stories about the two of them.
Great, let's clap. Wasn't that a wonderful story? Very nice. Now tell us something about you. What do you like to do for fun?
Baseball.
Good. Are you on the team?
Yeah.
Have you gone to any of the baseball games?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite baseball player?
Buster Posey.
Oh, that's good. Now look right there in the camera and tell us, what are you going to do this summer for going to camp?
I'm moving.
Or moving? Where are you moving to?
Utah.
Utah. Oh, what do you think you're going to like about living in Utah?
All the snow.
All the snow, yes. I came from Iowa, and we have lots of snow in Iowa. Do you think you'd like to ski and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff? Anything else you want to tell me about you?
No.
That's it, huh? And Mom and Dad came to watch you tonight, huh?
Yep.
Oh, they're going to be very proud of you, and I'm very proud of you too. And we're going to hear from you the second half of the program. And congratulations on this wonderful story. Let's give him another round of applause. Welcome back to the second half of We Poets. I'm Sally Baker, the host. I would now like to introduce you to my very special guest for tonight. His name is Kirk Waller. He is the storytelling director at Stagebridge, and he's going to tell us all about this wonderful program that they have called Grandparents' Tales. And you just heard 3 winners read their stories about their grandparents. And then next week, we're going to be interviewing 3 other children who were winners. So without further ado, here's Kirk. Hi, Kirk.
Hello, Sally.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Good. Weren't the children's stories wonderful?
They were great. It's always such a pleasure to hear their stories, and they did such a wonderful job.
I can see why they were winners. And I have a few questions here for you.
Okay.
My first question is, for those that may not know, what is Stagebridge?
So Stagebridge, it's a senior theater company. It's located in Oakland, on right off of Broadway, and it's been around for, actually this is our 40th year. And so what we do is we have programs for older adults, 50 years and older, in the performing arts. So storytelling, singing, dancing, theater, musical theater, any type of performing arts. We even have instruments sometimes, but we'll invite professionals to come in and teach the adults, and then they in turn will go out into the community sometimes and share those things that they've learned. They'll go to the schools, like some of them have been to the schools that the children were at, and teach them about storytelling or theater. And sometimes we'll go out and do public performances. We'll have programs. We'll outreach into senior facilities, rehabilitation programs, and bring the arts to them. It's just a wonderful program, but in a nutshell, that's what Stagebridge does.
Great. And we've been having the winners on the program for about 10 years.
Yeah, and I've been at Stagebridge for 10 years, so I guess I came in right at the beginning.
Yes.
We've been doing it ever since.
I guess so. Now, my next question, what is your role at Stagebridge?
So what I do as the director of storytelling is that anything that has to do with storytelling, I'm involved. So I teach storytelling to the seniors. I also oversee the other teachers we have about 3 or 4 classes and different types of storytelling genres that we teach. So I just teach one of those, and I oversee those teachers. I also oversee, it's like a 2-year storytelling program we call epic, and it's kind of similar to like a college type of program. It's not as intense, but it's a fun program where they learn different types of storytelling, the history of storytelling, personal storytelling, folk tales, and then at the end there's a certificate program which is coming up next week, and so these people will graduate from that program. I also oversee the program that goes into the schools. Like these children have experienced our seniors coming and telling them stories, or teaching them how to do the grandparent tales, or just telling them stories. So I oversee anything that has to do with that. And then all the public performances that I mentioned, I'll oversee those programs where they'll go out and do a program at the Marsh, or do an outreach program at Medical Hill Rehabilitation Program, for example.
Good, good. Now, what is the Grandparents' Tale Contest?
So what that is, it's for children 5 to 12 years, or 1st to 5th or 6th grade, and it's open to anyone in the country. We've had stories from Maryland, actually, as far as, all the way across the country, and
Wow.
they write a story either about a grandparent or about a senior. It could be like a neighbor. It doesn't always have to be a grandparent, but most of them are about grandparents. And they write a story and then submit it. They could also draw a picture, or some of the younger kids just draw a picture about their grandparent, or them and their grandparents. And then judges are selected, and they read through all of the stories and they rate them. And then the winners are either come on this wonderful program and get to read their great stories with you, or we also go into a bookstore, which tomorrow happens to be the program. We're going to Books Inc. in Alameda, and selected winners are going to share their stories as well. And it's a really fun event because parents get to come out on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We have little treats and snacks, and they hear their story again as well.
Isn't this great? Wonderful. Now, let's see here. Why is a program like this so important?
One of StageBridge's goals and one of our mission statements is to bridge the generation gaps. And so it's to bring the older generation together with the younger generation. And this type of program does it, I think, in a really special way, because often kids spend time with their grandparents, but they don't often ask these specific questions about, what did you do when you were my age? Tell me a story about something interesting that happened to you. And often we hear the feedback where the children and their parents learn things they didn't know about the grandparent, because they never really had the opportunity just to sit and ask them very specific questions. And so for me, one of the values of this program is it opens up the children to a whole nother world that they may not have learned about, or may not have learned as much about, another time, another place. It gives the grandparents an opportunity to connect with their grandchildren on a different level. And it also brings the parents in, because they're often the liaison of connecting the two if they're not local. We've had some that were live streaming from China, or Skyping in China to get the information, and translating. And so a lot of times the parents get involved as well, or if they're in another state, connecting the children that way. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to bring families together and to open up the children to a different generation.
Oh, that's great. Now, let's see here. How can students participate in the Grandparents' Tales Contest?
So if you are viewing this broadcast, there will be information on the screen, and you just contact StageBridge at stagebridge.org, and you just enter a contest that way. All you have to do is submit a form. You can download it right from our site and submit it that way. Often we're in a lot of the schools that some of the children may already be in, but if they're not, the parents should know to please go to stagebridge.org and get your children involved. It's a wonderful event. It's a little bit of work, but it's not too much work, but it's a fun project, and it's a great way, as I mentioned earlier, just to really connect to grandparents in a unique way in doing this program. One thing I have to share, Sally, is I interviewed my father. I'm not part of the grandparent, but part of another program that StageBridge did. And it was so wonderful, because as old as he is and as old as I am, I learned things about him that I didn't know. Yeah, because I sat down and asked him these very specific questions that will give you ideas about and suggestions on what to ask and what to talk about. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So that's how you get involved, and I hope as many people will.
What are some upcoming programs that you have for the summer? So
we have a couple of acting classes at StageBridge. We have 2 storytelling classes coming up. I think there's a singing class as well, and so it's a little bit less intense during the summer, but there's some 2-week and 1-week programs that students can get involved in. So if you or your grandparent, you think they might be involved, go to our website as well and take a look at what we're offering in the summer. And then we start up again in September, our semester.
So you start already for next year's winners?
Well, I think it begins in the fall.
Oh, in the fall.
So yeah, they could check the site now and kind of get the information, but I think that the entry deadlines and submissions open up in the fall, and it goes until early spring that they could submit their stories.
Good, good. Now, the children are going to join us pretty soon, but could you tell us about what you give to these winners?
So every child that participates, they get a wonderful certificate, a really nice certificate that they could hang and be proud of. But the winners get a book, and here's an example of one of them. And the books are they're either very new books or very gently used books donated by a local bookstore, by the book program that's in Oakland, and gives the children another opportunity to have a really nice book to read and to look at and to share.
And what's this one titled?
This particular one is called "There's a Tiger in the Garden" by Lily Stewart.
Did you want to show the other two?
Sure. And this other one I brought that one of the winners is going to get in a few moments is called "I Got It," and it's a base there. You see the glove. If you can see the glove from there, it's about a boy who's just excited about getting it, about catching it, about doing it, about accomplishing something. And that's a wonderful one. I brought one more, and this one is called "Nate the Great and the Wandering Word." So it's a really fun story, and one that I think it's a series of books, and they have several different ones that they could check out if they like this one and get some more.
Great, great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we have the children come on?
No, I really want to hear from them and see if they have any more questions about me or Stagebridge or the Grandparent Tales, or share more about their experience. But I think that's about all I have.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, but we're going to take a quick break, and then the children have questions that they've prepared for you, and they're going to come on and ask you their questions. And then if you'd like to ask them anything, we can do that too. So boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you, if you're a child watching, if you would like to be on We Poets, you can have your parent or your teacher call me. And if you are a teenager between the ages of 13 and 19, and you would like to be an intern on We Poets, you can have your parents or your teacher call me. I'm always looking for interns to come, and we train you how to be television technicians, operate the cameras, do the lighting and directing. And if you'd like to do that, I'm always looking for interns. And if you would like to be a guest, like Kirk here has been tonight, I'm always looking for adult guests to come and talk about boys and girls and things that boys and girls can do when they grow up to be like the guest. And we're a nonprofit organization, so we always need contributions to bring you new shows. And so if you'd like to contribute to us, we'd like to have you be a guest. So we'll be back in just a moment. Don't turn off those TVs. And now our poets have joined us, and they've each prepared a question for Mr. Waller. So here we go.
Why did you decide to work with Stagebridge over other companies?
Really good question. Let's see. So I had actually done some work with Stagebridge already. I was teaching storytelling classes for their summer camp for a couple of summers, and then the storytelling director that was in place, she decided to leave. And I knew her already from storytelling and from hiring me to do Stagebridge and some other work that I had done in the storytelling community. And so it was actually an easy choice. She asked me if I was interested to interview a few other candidates, but that was kind of how I got introduced to it, and it was such an easy transition because I was already doing some work for them, so I just jumped right on in and became their storytelling director.
Great. Next question, please.
How do you choose which story wins?
For the Grandparent Tales contest, so what we do is after we get all the stories, Barbara Johnson is the lady that coordinates this. She has all these tons of stories, and we have different judges. Some of them are Stagebridge students. Some of them are some of our board members, some of our community members that we work with, and she'll give at least all the stories to at least 3 different judges. So there's 3 different judges or more that are looking at the stories. They'll read through all of them, and they'll rate them. They'll rate them on different things by clarity, by what kind of, if it is actually a story, because sometimes it's just information about their grandparents, and then which ones are just really well written and well told stories, and then we'll rate them, and then she'll tally those up, and then we'll decide who's the winner by that. So it's actually it's a numbers process, and then just the judges deciding on which stories make the most sense, are clear, and are good stories like
Great.
yours.
Okay, next question, please.
How do you like storytelling?
I love storytelling. I love stories, and one thing that I get to do with StageBridge and other places is not only tell stories, but teach children about telling stories, teach them how to tell stories, and then often, like in the cases of your schools, we go in and we teach them about interviewing grandparents and writing those stories down. So it's writing stories and reading and listening to stories. But that's the reason why I love it, is just because stories have a way of touching our hearts the way information might not be able to. Like, you could teach somebody about the time where your grandparents lived, but if you hear a story about what it was like, it touches our hearts and it opens our minds in a totally different way.
Great. Now, you have some books here that you're going to present to our winners, right?
Yes, and so we present the winners with certificates and books. So tonight I brought the books with them, and this first one is for Liliana. There's a tiger in the garden.
Oh, would you like to say anything about the book?
It looks like a really good book, and also it looks really new.
It's spanking new.
Yeah, good observation. It is very new. And the one we have for Daisha is called I Got It. And so congratulations, and I hope you enjoy this book.
And would you like to say anything about the book, please?
It's super cool. It's super cool, and it looks super new.
So we have 2 new books, and now we have a third brand new book. This is Nate the Great and the Wandering Word, and this is presented to Austin. So congratulations, Austin.
Austin, would you like to say anything about your book?
It looks new.
3 spanking new books for these wonderful winners.
All right, we did good.
Now, is there anything else anybody would like to say before we sign off?
I have one more question. Sure. How old were you when you got involved in storytelling?
That's a very good question, so I'll try to make it short, because but I was in the 4th grade. And the way I got involved in storytelling was I had a homework assignment that was due that I didn't do. Don't do this, but I didn't do, so when my teacher called on me to present this project that I had 2 weeks to do, I made up this fantastic story that wasn't even true. And I got caught, I got in trouble, but my teacher recognized that I was very creative and was a storyteller, so she invited me to audition for a play, and I got the part. And so even though I didn't do the assignment and I did not get a good grade, so I just want to make sure I say that.
Okay, well,
she recognized that that's how it became a
well, we're out of
storyteller.
time, so I'm sorry. But anyway, you guys did a wonderful job. I'm so very proud of you, and all your friends are going to be proud of you when they see you on TV. So without further ado, we're going to tell our audience goodbye. Let's say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for watching.